version 5.3. Well, you know what time it is. All my info comes from the special program as well as Honey Impact. So if you want to check those out, check those out. But without any further ado, let's just get this started. This is Incandescent Ode of Resurrection. So the first thing, of course, that they showcased here is obviously mavuika. Mavuika is going to be the new 5-star character, the new character. She rides a motorcycle as her Night Soul blessing, and she also has pretty cool mechanics as well. In the overworld, she basically does everything that every overworld character does. As you see there, she rides on water, she can climb on walls, she can fly in the air. Yeah, she is really basically everything that every single natlan character does. So yeah, she also does have a cool burst right there. Look at that burst, it's so cool. But I think they showcase her type. I'm pretty sure they have to, you gotta have to go like a bit forward, but she has a pretty good mechanics. Her elemental skill, of course, is her Night Soul blessing. She basically has 2 modes, so you can make her an on-field DPS or you can make her an off-field DPS. If you make her off-field, she does pyro damage over time. So she basically is finally, it's not a meme now. We finally have a we finally have a Zhongling. We finally have a Zhongling. We have a pyro sub DPS. Finally, we can use her for pyro sub DPS. But I'm pretty sure her main strongest attribute is going to be main DPS. Main DPS is going to be like her best possible performance because of how much damage she's able to do, because everything for her stacks attack, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, she basically her whole gimmick is just a motorcycle. She also does main DPS and sub DPS damage. So that is basically mavuika in a nutshell. I just gave you the TLDR Spark Notes version. They also showcased her exploration. So she reduces the cooldown of Night Soul switching. You'll see here in a moment right there. They showcase it there. See, as you see, Kachina basically has it ready basically like a few seconds earlier. It's either that thing's already ready and then it takes forever for them to switch. So yeah, pretty good for exploration purposes. So obviously mavuika is going to be the best exploration character in natlan, so definitely a must pull for you exploration fanatics out there. So yeah, they also showcase a bunch of passive talents too, like this one right here. Pretty nice overall. I will go into greater detail once we go into Honey Impact, so I guess you just look at these. But she basically enters a special state and then she does like a bajillion damage, so her hair basically just glows. So yeah, that's basically it for her elemental burst. It's pretty cool overall. So yeah, it's pretty nice. But that is basically mavuika. So yeah, really nice. Of course, since it is a 5-star character, of course we have a new story quest. So yeah, pretty nice. We also have a new main story quest as well. So yeah, of course, just your typical Genshin stuff. They also showcased Citlali. Citlali is a cryo catalyst. I forgot to mention that mavuika is a pyro claymore, but yeah, she is pyro claymore. But Citlali is a catalyst cryo character. Her main gimmick is that she is a cryo sub DPS, and she scales off of elemental mastery. So they showcase it here, but she's basically a Night Soul. She is part of the Masters of the Nightwind clan, so she basically does do that floaty thingy for her like overworld stuff. As you see here, they're gonna showcase it. Yeah, she does the big jump and then she floats down. Yep, just typical Night Soul stuff. They showcased her elemental skill, but I see there she has a cryo shield and she does like damage over time. So yeah, she's basically she is literally a sub DPS. So yeah, you cast the elemental skill and then you swap to like other party members. Her burst is pretty cool too. She does a AoE cryo burst right there. Pretty nice overall. But yeah, she is basically just a cryo sub DPS. That is all I'm gonna be saying, and that is all she is. She's literally just a cryo sub DPS. But I would say though that she does boost those cryo teams pretty well. One of her passive talents is literally boosting melt and frozen reaction damage. So yeah, she's probably gonna be pretty good if you are gonna be running her on those specific teams. But of course, just like her too, we are able to do a quest with her as well. So yeah, citlali quest, part of the, I'm pretty sure it's part of the clan levels. So yeah, we could just do that and then we could have like the picture of her with the Wind clan. So yeah, it's pretty nice. They also showcase Pyro Traveler too, or at least like a sneak peek of it. As you see there, Pyro Traveler. We are able to use him finally, but he looks pretty cool. Look at that, pyro sub DPS. Pyro sub DPS. They haven't showcased any info from Honey Impact, so we are basically going in blind, seeing what Pyro Traveler does. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be at least decent, and you're able to fight him, or you're able to use him against the new boss, Lord of the Eroded Primal Fire. So this thing is going to be the new boss of the version. It's going to be our new overworld boss. So grind your mats away for your mavuika, and yeah, that's basically all I'm going to be saying. But they also showcase the Event Wish previews right here. So Event Wish number 1, I am cooked. I am cooked. I'm cooked because they decided, for some odd reason, why not put mavuika and citlali on the same phase? Yeah, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. Of course they showcase, I think, phase 2, but they showcase it later, I'm pretty sure. I have to scrub through everything, but of course, they have the new weapons as well. We have the new Claymore right here, 1,000 Blazing Suns, and we have a new Catalyst right here, Star Caller's Watch. Those are the new weapons for us. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm pretty sure they don't showcase the phase 2 banner yet. They do it later on, which is really weird. But they also showcased a new 4-star. Of course, since this is going to be New Year's, they always do this all the time. They're doing Lantern Rite this year, so new Lantern Rite event, which means new 4-star character. And that 4-star character is an Animo sub DPS, if they do ever load the thing. Yeah, Lan Yan. Lan Yan is a Animo, it's an Animo character. That does shields. It's a shielder. She's the shields. That's it. So she's literally a support. She's a support character. She could also become a sub DPS if you want to, because she does do elemental conversions on her shields. So pretty cool character, honestly. Of course we need to see more testing, but they showcase it here for her gameplay. But yeah, elemental skill, as you see there, has shield. When you put elements in there, it's part of her passive talent. You can use her elemental skill, Kablamo. See, her shield turns orange right there. So yep, pyro shield. So yeah, she has pretty cool stuff, and she also does elemental damage too. So she's basically similar to, I guess, Chaska in a way. They also showcased her elemental burst, which is just a AoE animal burst. Yep, right there. Pretty nice overall. She looks pretty basic, really. Event phase 2, of course, they say that, oh, there it is. Okay, event phase 2. So we have a return of one of the best characters in the game, Arlecchino. And then we have one of the best Electro DPSs in the game, Chlorand. So this is weird because one, mavuika is on the banner and she's also a Pyro DPS. This is really weird. So as for pull priority, I guess I'm thinking about it right now. This is so weird. So I would say that for pull priority sake, I always do this all the time, but I'm gonna be saying it. Of course, love triumphs all. If you love the character, pull for them. If you love their gameplay, if you love their kit, if you love their personality, if you love their story, pull for them. I am not stopping you. If you love the character, let's say you love Chlorand above everyone else, you love Chlorand more than like Arlecchino or mavuika or citlali or something like that, then yes, pull for Chlorand. I'm not stopping you. Pull for what you love, of course. Love triumphs all, as I always say. But I always have to give my opinion on these because I am a day one player of Genshin. So yeah, these banners, of course, I have to tell new players what to summon for. So all these banners are very valuable. That is the second problem, because all these banners are really, really good, especially for new accounts. So okay, we can start off with mavuika. Mavuika is a Archon. There is not in history one time where an Archon is bad on release. Venti is the best character in the game on release. Literally has crowd control. He's still used to this very day for crowd controller. Zhongli, he's still used to this very day. He is the best shielder in the game. No questions asked. For Raiden, the best Electro sub DPS in the game right now, currently, and at the time of release, with her, she was the best Electro DPS in the game. If you have her C2, she is still the best Electro DPS in the game. So yeah, Nihida, the best Dendro character in the game, no questions asked. Literally supports the team, sub DPS, does a bunch of Dendro damage, supports the Dendro teams. She is literally a staple on Dendro teams. She is just way too good. It is hard to not slot her in. She's just that good. As for Farina is the best Hydro character in the game, no questions asked. She is a sub DPS, she is a support, she boosts damage for party members with her burst. She is just way too good. So yeah. Yeah, so basically what that means is mavuika is probably going to be one of the best DPSs in the entire game, or one of the best sub DPSs in the entire game. Either way, she's probably going to be similar to Raiden, where Raiden is the best sub and best Electro DPS. For mavuika's case, it's going to be the same. She's probably going to be like the best Pyro DPS and the best Pyro sub. So yeah, mavuika, definitely a must pull, especially if you are going to be exploring, because she is an exploration character. She is the most value out of everyone else here. So with exploration and damage and like just usability in mind, I would say that mavuika is #1 top priority on this version. If you are not summoning for mavuika, what are you doing? Because every Archon is important, even if they are at C0. So yeah, mavuika, definitely a must pull. As for your second pick, Arlecchino. If you already have mavuika, or if you already pulled for mavuika but you don't have Arlecchino, Arlecchino does way too much damage. She is currently right now, well, at least before version 5.3, the best Pyro DPS in the entire game. She does way too much damage. She is self-sustainable with her burst, even though you do have to build up a lot of Pyro energy for that. She also does way too much damage with Bond of Life mechanics as well, and she doesn't really need any help other than probably like a shielder if you want to protect her, especially if she is at C0. So yeah, Arlecchino is definitely one of the best characters in the entire game. Definitely hard to skip her, but if you do have Arlecchino already, just skip. You could probably just pull for mavuika instead. So yeah, if you already have Arlecchino, just go for mavuika. If you already pull for mavuika and you have like a spare extra like primo gems or something, you can pull for Arlecchino. You can basically have like one team have like mavuika and another team have like Arlecchino or something, and yeah, that is your abyss team. So definitely a must pull if you don't have Arlequino. She is really, really good. You see what I mean by every character's good? This is just way too hard to skip. Third priority. Honestly, it is the same. Because you have Chlorand, who is one of the best Electro DPSs in the entire game. And then you have Citlali, who is potentially the best Cryo sub DPS in the entire game. So that means that both of them have equal priority. It depends on what you need. If you need a Cryo sub DPS desperately, especially since there's like literally no good Cryo sub DPSs, at the top of my mind, I can only think of probably like 2 Cryo sub DPSs. I could think of Rosaria and Charlotte, and that's it. Yeah, so Charlotte and Rosaria, those are the only 2 Cryo sub DPS I could think of. Maybe Kaya, probably, but there are not many good Cryo sub DPSs out there. So Citlali is definitely a must pick up if you really desperately need a Cryo sub DPS, especially since all the Cryo sub DPS options out there are kind of okay at best. So yeah, Citlali's gonna definitely boost those teams. As for Chlorand, there's not many Electro DPSs out there. The only good one at the moment is Raiden Shogun. Yeah. You could count Sino, but he's not as consistent as Chlorand. Because Chlorand, all you have to do is pop elemental skill and then you just do electro damage. Easy. So yeah, I'll just say that if you do need an electro DPS, Chlorand is definitely a good pickup. Definitely a worthwhile character to pull for. So yeah. But they also showcase that that she is part of phase 2. Lanyan, I mean, we already get her for free. You'll see what I mean. Since it is Lantern Right, we get a free 4-star of our choice. Yeah. So you can literally just get Lanyan from here, and then you don't have to pull on the second phase. Just focus all your primos on the first phase, especially if you are a new player. But they returned the Chronicle Wishes for this Lantern Right. So we basically have pretty good options here. So definitely the biggest win is Shenhua. She hasn't been on a banner since 500 days. So definitely pretty good that she is able to go in the game. By the way, fun fact, did you know that Shenhua's last rerun is older? It's older than Star Rail's release. Yeah, definitely a big W that we got Shenhua in. Ganyu was also the second character that needed a rerun desperately, and we got a rerun with her. So yeah, pretty big W's over here because we got both of these characters. But you know who isn't on here? Risley. Yeah, that's the only character that hasn't gotten a rerun yet. So maybe on the next version we probably would get him, maybe, but I'm not sure. So yeah, but as for the Chronicled Wishes, if you definitely have the Primo Gems to spare, I would say probably, I guess, go for it if you are missing some of these characters, especially since there's one character in this entire roster who's definitely worth picking up for on this Chronicled Wish. If you don't have the spare Primos, then it is a must skip because you could just summon for mavuika instead. But let's say you have the spare Primo Gems for this anyway, for Chronicled Wishes. So who do you summon for? It should be obvious who you should be going for is Baishu. Baishu is one of the best Denjo healers in the game. Literally the only other Denjo healer that we have is Yao Yao, and Yao Yao isn't even consistent. So Baishu, definitely a worthwhile character to get, especially since he is an AoE healer, you know, like one of the best archetypes because you use him on Denjo teams. So yeah, and of course he combos well with Farina, who definitely needs a AoE healer on the team. So yeah, Baishu definitely is a number 1. He's number 1 on the list for muskets in the game. So yeah, for the second best character to get on the game, Shenhua. Definitely Shenhua. Shenhua increases your cryo damage. She increases just damage in cryo teams in general. And guess what? we have citlali. So you could run Shenhua citlali, and then you could do like a bajillion freeze damage or bajillion melt damage. Yeah, Shenhua is definitely going to be boosted up a little thanks to citlali, so she's definitely a worthwhile pick. For the third best character, it is a tie between Ganyu and Zhao. So if you desperately need a crowd DPS, go for Ganyu. If you need a animal DPS, go for Zhao. So yeah, both of these characters just share equal variety. I would say though that if you don't have Nouvelette, you could say that Tartaglia or Child is also third priority, and I would agree so. So I would say that all these three, if you don't count yourself having Nouvelette, I would say these three have equal value. But if you have Nouvelette, then yeah, no, this he is a skip. But if you don't have Nouvelette, these three are basically equal value. So Ganyu if you need a crowd DPS, Zhao if you need a animal DPS, Tartaglia if you need a hydro DPS. All three of them are pretty good. As for the other two, why? Because one, you could get them on standard. Two, you could probably just lose your 50-50 and get them anyway. So yeah, these two are pretty infamous for being the spooky 5 stars that spook you on your 50-50s. So yeah, definitely if you play this game long enough, at least you have one of the copies. You probably already have a copy of Chi-Chi or a copy of Kaching. So yeah, maybe you probably already have them C6 already. So yeah, definitely they're definitely here. I guess. But yeah, definitely not a worthwhile pick for players who are going for them, unless you desperately want to C6 them. But yeah, that is my priority for Chronicled Wishes. Number 1 is Baizhu, number 2 is Shenhua, number 3 is either Ganyu, Zhao. If you don't have Nouvelette, then Tartaglia. And for number 4, it's these two. So yeah, that is my pick for the Chronicled Wishes. We, of course, since it is Lantern Rite, we get some free rewards. We get 10 Intertwined Fates, and we get 1,600 Primo gems. I was about to say polychromes. Yeah, we get 1,600 Primo gems with a bunch of goodies, so pretty nice. We also get the Xbox glider. pretty nice. Yeah, we get it in 5.3. Pretty cool. They also showcase some pretty cool costumes too. We got a Hu Tao costume and a Xiangling costume. Xiangling looks pretty nice. Definitely a really good costume. Hu Tao's looks amazing though. I love Hu Tao's costume. I used to main Hu Tao. Maybe this might spark me using Hu Tao again, but the Hu Tao costume looks extremely good. It looks so nice. Like, look at that. Actually looks really good. So different from her actual design. So yeah, pretty nice change of pace overall. So yeah, but of course they showcase some new modes for the Lantern Rite. We got Puyo Puyo Tetris. Enough said. We also have, of course, domains. I mean, new domain event. Of course, part of the Lantern Rite thing. We got some new stuff too. Looks like we can make greeting cards. It looks like right here. Yeah, pretty nice. We can edit some greeting cards. Pretty cool. They also updated the shop too, so we can get some Zhao lanterns again. Yes, you could restock your inventory with Zhao lanterns. Pretty nice. And of course we could get some more fireworks for the firework launcher. Of course there's a new music event. Yeah, pretty nice. It looks like you can make your own. You can basically just put like a bunch of music. Looks pretty cool. I mean, yeah, you could just make a bunch of music and stuff. Pretty nice overall. Yeah, the event is called right here. Yep. Repertoire of Myriad Melodies. Pretty nice. Yeah, so we can just make our own beat maps and do a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Of course there's also new instruments. Really nice as well. They showcased as well some other events too. Right here, it looks like we have a new time trial event. So yeah, just collect coins and stuff. Looks pretty basic overall. They also showcased right here some new the events as well, like a domain challenge right there. Yep, yay, domains! Don't you love those? Yeah, but you can basically just screenshots showcase your best record on these bosses. Pretty nice. They Of course, they showcase some other cool events as well. I'm pretty sure this is the last one before they do the quality of life things. But yeah, the beetle battle thing is back, so we can have beetle battles now. But with different beetles, it looks like. So, of course, besides the Onikabuto, we get a Onikabuto with wings. Yeah, pretty nice. And it defeats just basic Hilichurls and Abyss Mages. So yeah, pretty cool. They also showcase Overflowing Abundance, so you can stock up on domains, so you can just stock up on mats and weapon refining materials as well. Pretty cool overall. So yeah. They also showcase some quality of life. They improved the tutorial. Yeah, they improved the training guide. They increased the artifact inventory limit, which is pretty nice. They optimized bosses, added a new natlan teapot, and then they unlock co-op mode for World 8 and 9. Pretty nice. So yeah. But as for the artifact increase, we got 2,100 instead of 1,800 for artifacts. This is definitely a big W because I am running out of artifact space. So having more artifact space is pretty nice overall. I will take that gladly. They also, I think I could just turn on captions here. They showcase the new boss optimizations right here. They just explain it right here. Will respawn immediately after defeat. Yep, right there. So you can literally wait. Instead of like just teleporting away for 5 seconds and then going back, you could just literally wait. You can wait and then they respawn back. The grinding. Yes, they improved bosses. Improved bosses, pretty nice. Of course, we got some new contrails too for Imaginary Theater. We got Kazuha and Ganyu. I'm definitely getting the Kazuha one because I already have Kazuha. So yeah, pretty nice. We were able to get those. They added some new TCG cards, Clorand and Mualani, looks like. And I think that's basically it. Yep, that's it for that's it for the special program side. So now there's only one thing left to do, and that is to talk about right here Honey Impact. So let's transition to Honey Impact. Are you guys ready to discuss about the new info? Because I am. So here we go in 3, 2, 1 transition. So yeah, all right, here we go. So in new in 5.3, we have mavuika, citlali, lanyan, and then we have Pyro Traveler, but they don't show it yet. So yeah, it's just Hu Tao Trial. Of course we have the new weapons, 1,000 Blazing Suns and Stars Caller's Watch. So that is basically cool. So well, let's just discuss about these in greater detail. So mavuika is a Pyro Claymore character. Her bonus level up stat is crit damage, so she is going to be a literal DPS or sub DPS if you want to. Her elemental skill, as I mentioned before, just does pyro damage, and it is her Night Soul Blessing, so she does pyro damage. When you tap, she goes into a Night Soul aligned pyro damage active state. So basically, when you tap it, she turns into sub DPS mode, so you could just swap out and then you do like the Ring of Fire damage. It looks like it's pretty good damage overall, so yeah, pretty nice. So when you tap it, you just go into sub DPS mode. If you hold it, you go into a motorcycle and then you do pyro damage on your motorcycle. That's basically it. So you can either make her a sub DPS or a main DPS. That's basically that is basically all it is trying to tell you. For burst, it's pretty unique. So they talk about fighting spirit right here in her elemental burst, and you'll probably already see why. So when you have 50% fighting spirit, she can consume it all to unleash her elemental burst, and when she obtains the fighting spirit, or in order to get her fighting spirit, you need to either 1 consume your night soul state or night soul points to convert it into a fighting spirit, or when you do normal attacks you get 1.5 fighting spirit for every 0.1 seconds. So you basically just do normal attacks or you do night soul point consumption. That's basically it. So pretty easy to get, and her burst looks pretty nice. It's just AoE fire damage. Yep, that's basically it. So when you do a burst, you get 10 night soul points, and then you're able to do AoE prowl damage, and then you enter a state called Crucible of Death and Life. So when you're in this state, all actions for Mavuika will not consume night soul points, which means that your motorcycle thing or your sub DPS thing will last forever. Her interruption resistance is increased, and also the damage you deal with Sunfell Slice with her normal charge attacks gets increased as well. Based on the fighting spirit she has on her elemental burst. So it gets cancelled when you leave the field, which is fine, but this basically means that when you use her burst, your main DPS mode, your motorcycle mode, does more damage. So it's pretty nice. So she is going to be hitting really hard after burst, especially if you have a lot of fighting spirit stacks. Pretty nice. As for her passive skills, they're pretty cool. She gets decreased cooldown on Night Soul Transmission. That's already been talked about. Of course, she also has other overworld stuff as well. For right here, you just basically just do a you get 50% of her Night Soul points, so it's pretty nice. So yeah. Her other passive skills, this is her combat ones, are pretty nice too. So when a nearby party member triggers Night Soul Burst, you get attack increased by 30%. That's easy to get, so it's pretty nice. For her other one, when you use a Elemental Burst, every point of Fighting Spirit you use increases the damage of a party member by 0.2%, and it gets increased to a maximum of 40%, which lasts 20 seconds. And then decaying over this duration until it reaches 0. So, for every point you have in Fighting Spirit, you get a maximum damage bonus of 40% for party members. This includes herself, by the way. So, yeah, she just does more damage. So, on top of what you get with her Crucible Death and Life, you also get Kion Gozi, which also gives you a 40% damage boost. This means that Mavuika is going to be hitting hard. Yeah, she's going to be really good. If you want to increase or maximize her capabilities, you can go for Constellations. Her C1 is pretty good. It basically increases your Night Soul points to 120, and you gain 25% more Fighting Spirit effectively. This means that you're going to be popping off your bursts more consistently with a more damage output. So you basically get the max amount of Fighting Spirit that you get, which is pretty nice. For C2, you literally get a base increase attack of 200. And when you do a Ring of Searing Radiance, that is her tap skill, that is her sub DPS skill, you get a decreased defense of 20%. When you do her hold skill, you increase your damage on motorcycle, your normal charge, and her Sunfell Slice from your elemental burst gets increased by that of her attack. So 60%, 90%, and 120. So your normals get increased by 60, your charge gets increased by 90, and then your Sunfell Slice from your Elemental Burst gets increased by 120% of her attack. This means that she's going to be hitting this extremely hard, and this means that you have to focus on her as her main DPS. You have to focus on main DPS Mavuika. So yeah, Mavuika is going to be hitting pretty hard with Constellations. So if you are going to be rolling for Constellations, especially since this is a Archon, you can go for C2. C2 is definitely a must go, but I'm pretty sure she's going to be really good without Constellations, because I mean, look at this, she just does so much. So I think the best constellation that you can get, you don't have to get C2, by the way, unless you really want the damage boost on your normals, is C1, because C1 literally increases your Night Soul points, and it also increases your Fighting Spirit gain. It's similar to Farina's C2, where she increases her fanfare limit, and she also increases the fanfare acceleration. So yeah, it's basically it's basically Farina C1 and C2 combined into one constellation. So yeah, pretty nice overall, I would say. Definitely a must get, especially if you are going to be maximizing mavuika. So yeah, there's mavuika. Pretty nice overall. I would say she is a great pyro character. Next up is Citlali. Citlali is a Catalyst Cryo. There's not much to talk about with her other than she just boosts melt and freeze damage. So her main level up stat is EM. As I mentioned before, she is a EM scaler. The more EM you have, the more damage she's able to do. You'll see what I mean. So your shield absorption gets increased by your elemental mastery. When you do a shield, you just get Night Soul points, and you could do AoE cryo damage when you use her Dawnfrost Dark Star. So yeah, pretty nice. She just does cryo damage, and she does shield. So shield cryo damage, pretty nice overall. So yeah, literally a cryo sub DPS. What could I say? As for her elemental burst, it does AoE cryo damage, and she also summons spirit vessels and targets a maximum of 3 opponents within AoE, and then with 1 skull for each opponent, and then the skulls explode doing AoE cryo damage. So literally, as I said before, she is a AoE cryo damage dealer, sub DPS, and support, if you count the shield. So yeah, she is pretty good. Really good on freeze and melt teams. You'll see what I mean once we go to the passives. So these two are just your typical natlan passives. You get 20 Felicigen. Here you get to consume stuff, and then you can just leap. Yep, pretty nice overall. As for the attack or the combat passives, when Eats Papa is on the field, after nearby party members trigger frozen or melt, you decrease the pyro and hydro res of opponents by 20%, and then you get 16 Night Soul points back. So the more Night Soul points you have, the more damage you're able to do, because it's basically similar to Auroron's, where you want as much Night Soul points as possible so it stays on the field. Same with Dawnfrost Darksock. You want to have as much Night Soul points as possible. So yeah, pretty cool overall. But the main kicker is the 20% decrease of pyro and hydro res. Remember that she has EM, so this is going to be hitting really hard, and it also affects yourself too, mainly Citlali. So Citlali is going to be doing a bunch of damage with the pyro and hydro res decrease, because the opponent is either going to be frozen or it's going to be melted. Yeah, it's just way too good. Super busted. This means that you can run stuff like mavuika Citlali or Arlecchino Citlali, or if you are going to be running a freeze team, Ayaka Citlali with a hydro character on the side, probably like Farina or something, or Nouvelette freeze team or something. Yeah, she's going to be really good on those teams. Really nice passive overall. As for the secondary passive, when you use your elemental skill, the Frostfall Storm damage is increased by 90% of her elemental mastery. This means that she hits hard. Her burst gets increased by 1,200 of her elemental mastery. This means it also hits hard too. And when a party member triggers a Night Soul burst, she regains 4 Night Soul points, which means that she gets to keep it longer. So this is broken. This means that she's going to be hitting really hard. But remember when I said that she is a sub DPS? This is what I mean. The more EM you have, the more damage you're able to do. And I'm pretty sure if you really do want to maximize her output, her damage output, you can do crit damage EM. Yeah, that works. Because the only thing that she does skill off of is EM. So you can do EM, and then you can do like crit damage, and then you just do like a bajillion damage on the enemy. Yeah, it's pretty easy overall. So pretty good character, I would say. Definitely a must pick up if you don't have a cryo sub DPS already. And if you really want to maximize those teams like Risley Freeze or something like that, or those like Hyper Fridge teams, you could definitely pick this up. Definitely makes a Frozen and Melt team pretty good, and they might rise into relevancy once again thanks to Citlali. Citlali looks pretty nice overall. Next up is Lanyan. Thankfully, we don't have to talk much about her because we the special program already basically just tells you what she is. So Catalyst Animo, bonus attack. She literally puts up a shield. Her shield becomes the elemental skill, and then you do animal damage. Yep. As for burst, it does AoE animal damage. For her passives, pretty good too. Of course, she has her overworld passive that basically doesn't startle crystal flies. For her other one, she can go into elemental conversion when you absorb the shield, and you shield absorption of 250%, which means that you don't take damage that much against those specific elements that you cast. Pretty nice. She also does elemental damage equal to 50% of the original elemental type. So yeah, pretty nice overall. So this means that if you want to maximize her, you have to give her attack percent. Because she is going to be doing elemental skill damage corresponding to the elemental type. This means that, yeah, if the enemy is affected by pyro, you do pyro damage. If you're affected by hydro, you do hydro damage. So yeah, it's pretty good overall. As for the other passive talent, your elemental skill and your elemental burst do 309% and 774% of Lanyan's elemental mastery respectively. So you can throw in some elemental mastery along the side too on top of the attack. So I would say that probably her best thing is probably going to be like attack EM or something like that, or like EM animal damage or something like that, like similar to that. But I would say probably like EM or something like that, or probably like EM and like a something like attack on substats or whatnot. But she is basically just a animal sub DPS and support, able to give shields to party members. So yeah, she's just another shielder. As for the weapons, we can talk about those too real quick. As for 1,000 Blazing Suns, this thing is honestly, the crit rate is the same as Kenichi's, so it's just really low. But the passive is so good. So, you gain a Scorching Brilliance effect when you use a elemental skill or burst. Your crit damage gets increased by 20%. Your attack gets increased by 28% for 6 seconds. So when you do those, it triggers once every 10 seconds. While you're in the Scorching Brilliance state, its duration gets increased by 2 seconds after a normal charge attack, which also has a max duration of 6%. This means that you could just keep it up for as long as you can, especially if you are just doing normal charges. Pretty nice. When you, of course, additionally, if a equipping character uses a Night Soul Blessing, it gets increased by 75%, and its duration will count down when the equipping character is off field. So this means that you can just use like sub DPS mavuika, and then you just get the 75% boost, which means that, yeah, you just get 28% crit damage, 20%, and you get those increased as well for 75% of that. So this means that you're just gonna be doing like a bunch of crit damage. Yeah, and since mavuika is scaled off of attack, this means that mavuika is just gonna be popping off like crazy. So yeah, and look at that base attack on the weapon, 740 on top of the 20% you get. This is really good. Enough said. This is a really busted claymore. Really nice overall. The funny thing is, you could use this as a Kenich. Yeah, you could use this as a Kenich weapon, surprisingly. As for the catalyst, and it's the last thing that we have to talk about, Star Colors Watch. So you get to look at the EM increase, 264. Pretty nice. You get a base 100, so basically this turns into a 364. You get a Mirror of Night effect for 15 seconds after you create a shield, and then the current party member does 28% increased damage, and you can gain the Mirror of Night effect once every 14 seconds. This means it has a 1 second cooldown. So yeah, this just increases the party member's damage if they are protected by a shield. This is really good too. This is a really good catalyst, 100%. The funny thing is, you can use this on Lanyan because Lanyan creates a shield. So yeah, pretty good overall. I would say all of these characters are really good. Definitely a hard definitely it's just really hard to skip. It's really hard to skip all of these. But that's basically it for this special program video. So yeah, well, if you guys enjoyed the ramblings, if you guys enjoyed me talking about Genshin's new update, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below to support the channel. It really does mean a lot if you do support the channel. Helps me keep me motivated, making more videos and pumping out content for you guys. So again, thank you guys so much. If you do support the channel, without you guys I wouldn't be here. And as for the comments, well, there is a lot to talk about. What do you think about the 5.3 update? You think it's good? You think it's bad? What do you think about mavuika? What do you think about citlali? What do you think about lanyan? What do you think about the new weapons? What do you think about the new boss? What do you think about this lantern right? You think it's good or you think it's bad? Let me know in the comments down below. There is a lot to talk about. So yeah. And as always, thank you guys for watching this Genshin special program video. And I'll see you guys in the next gotcha video.